नहीं, सभी को उसका फायदा मिल रहा है कि नहीं। एंड देयर इज अ मिसकंसेप्शन देयर। मिसकंसेप्शन क्या है कि जब कभी भी हम लोग समावेशी विकास की बात करते हैं, इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ की बात करते हैं, तो वी टॉक अबाउट सोशलिज्म, वी टॉक अबाउट मार्क्सिज्म, वी टॉक अबाउट कम्युनलिज्म। अगर इस तरह के डेवलपमेंट प्रोसेस को अगर आप देखेंगे तो यहां पर कभी भी कैपिटल जनरेट नहीं हो पाता। एंड प्लीज रिमेंबर, इफ यू नीड डेवलपमेंट टू बी सस्टेनेबल, you need regular growth and regular flow of the capital. So that means when you're talking about socialism, when you talk about communism, when you talk about Marxism, it is not something just about restricting the capital flow or distributing the wealth equally among all others. मार्केट में क्या होगा, कोई कैपिटल जनरेट करने वाला नहीं होगा, और जब कैपिटल जनरेट करने वाला नहीं होगा तो आपका डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो सकता है। तो दिस इज नंबर टू, दिस इज नंबर टू। Second point, which I would like to highlight here, that when we talk about sustainable development and when we talk about inclusive growth under sustainable development, please do not confuse this economy. That means some goods from the capitalism and some goods from the socialism. And the third, which is very critical, is the green one. देखिए, आज के दिन में सबसे बड़ी हमारी समस्या क्या है कि हम लोग डेवलपमेंट की बात तो करते हैं, एंड हमारे प्रीवियस स्पीकर्स कह रहे थे कि हम लोग रिसाइकल रीयूज कर रहे हैं कि नहीं। उससे कहीं ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ये भी है कि हम रीयूज और रिसाइकल करने के साथ साथ जो हमारे पास रिसोर्सेज है, can we have the optimal utilization of resources, whether we're talking about the renewable sources or whether we talk about the sources which are going to lapse after some time. So हमारा थर्ड पार्ट जो सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का है, इट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड विद द ग्रीन, बट दैट ग्रीन इज नॉट समथिंग जस्ट रिलेटेड विद कि हम कहीं सोलर पावर की बात कर लेते हैं, हम कहीं विंड पावर की बात कर लेते हैं, हम कहीं न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी की बात कर लेते हैं, बल्कि जो रिसोर्सेज ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है, कैन वी हैव द ऑप्टिमल यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट रिसोर्सेज और दैट पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स और नॉट। If we are able to do that, then only the sustainable development or the concept of sustainable development will be there. So there are just three parts. One, when we talk about sustainable development, we should talk about the inclusive development, and that inclusivity is nothing but the mixed economy. Number two, whatsoever resources we have, we should have the optimal utilization of those, and that also should come with the green development or the green preserving the green thing. And the third one, which is very, very important, is how we can maintain that growth for a longer period. If you are able to do so, then only the concept of sustainable development will be applicable in India, or that is possible. So thank you very much. And that's the 3 minutes for me. And that's the 3 text for you. Thank you.
You saved the time. 2 minutes. You completed that. Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, for your crisp discussion, rather crisp pointers. So now we move on to Mr. Abhishek Gupta, who is General Manager and Head International Appliances and Strategy, EESL, Ministry of Power. Over to you.
Yeah, I think now I will be opposite. Thank you. Very good afternoon to one and all. Thank you so very much for inviting me here. हम थोड़ा काम की बात कर लेते हैं। सुबह से सस्टेनेबिलिटी और ढेर सारी भारी भरकम बातें चल रही हैं। मैं थोड़ा पैसे की बात कर लेता हूँ, शायद उससे लंच का जो हेवीनेस है थोड़ा कम हो जाए। लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, बिलीव मी और नॉट, सस्टेनेबिलिटी इज अ सेक्टर जिसमें आपको सबसे ज्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट की अपॉर्चुनिटी है, सबसे ज्यादा बिजनेस की अपॉर्चुनिटी है और सबसे ज्यादा पैसे बनाने की अपॉर्चुनिटी है। और ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट, you will be leaving the world a better place to live for the next generation. And that is what sustainability is all about. The kind of flora, fauna, or environment you got from your ancestors, it is our responsibility as an individual, as a family, as a society, as a nation. Leave the place which should be better than what we got from forefathers or ancestors. I come from industry. I have worked in government, private, all sort of industries. the kind of emphasis current government is giving on sustainable development, it will lead to specific opportunities for new entrepreneurs. Why am I saying so? Just I give an example. There is a recent scheme launched by government for putting up solar rooftop solutions on the households. It is talking about 75,000 crores of subsidy to be given by government. And actually, who is the beneficiary? We all can be the beneficiary as users, and we can be even better and bigger beneficiary by having an entrepreneurial instinct around this opportunity, what is going to be provided by government, not only for the established businesses, for the startups, for young entrepreneurs who can find out the specific opportunities for themselves. Sustainability is about employment creation, about getting more avenues for entrepreneurship. But what are we doing to protect our nation? I just give you an example. Currently, we are running a program for a meager fan. I just give you one statistics. India is selling around 40 million fans a year. And the fans which are consuming the electricity is amongst the highest in a household. If I just take this simple initiative and make this fan, which is consuming around 775 watt electricity, and make it energy efficient, believe me or not, your electricity bill is going to halve in no time. And the entrepreneurial opportunity is fantastic. You can be a manufacturer if you have got money, but if you don't have money, if you've got good connects, you can develop your own applications to disseminate this idea. You can have your own system for propagating the technology. You can have your own team which can work around to make it available to the last mile. You can work around a team which can do a lot of stuff related to maintenance. I'm talking about the business sense, which is actually the need of the hour to make sustainability as part of the business community, which is having the future like you. So I take a pause here. We'll have more discussion on this. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for focusing or bringing our attention on green skills, which of course, he would be the pioneer in adding green skills to all of you. And that's very apt. And today, green skills are the need of the hour, and you will have a lot of employment opportunities in the times to come. So now we move on to our third panelist, Mr. Ved Vyas Kundu. He is Program Officer of Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti, Delhi. Over to you, sir.
To start with, please accept my profound gratitude for having invited me to speak in this panel. Thank you very much. I focus totally on a very, very micro issue. We have talked about sustainable development. We are talking of how we can promote entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. This particular concept I've been working on for quite some time, both nationally and internationally. I've written on that, and I've also involved young people to actually work on this area. That is the whole notion which comes from the root of sustainable development or Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence, that is human interdependence. The whole notion of our great sensitivity to understand the unique relationship that we as human beings are not the only species on this earth. We are all interconnected, we are interdependent. The whole notion of the relationship between human, nature, and all other living beings' relationship. In fact, as part of it, I've been doing a lot of studies with people from the field of psychology, where we have talked on the whole notion of environmental psychology, ecological psychology, positive psychology, working with sociologists, working with development practitioners on how we can promote human interdependence mythology. The need of the hour today. The need of the hour today is how we can develop critical understanding of the art and science of human interdependence and assimilate its principles and values, and how we can actually put it into practice. Unless and until we are sensitive to that relationship between human nature and all other living beings, we will not be able to contribute that much to the whole notion of sustainable development. Also, it needs how we can develop empathy, compassion, act of gratitude to not just other human beings in our relationship, but also to nature and other living beings. So this whole paradigm one is working on, the whole notion of human interdependent literacy. There are different ways in which we can actually be human interdependent literate. Like how I can contribute, like say for instance, how I can contribute to the betterment of the systems around me, the ecosystems around me, how it can make it more energy efficient, how I can do very simple things where I can reduce energy use in my home or my institution. So all these aspects form part of it. In fact, the other day we had an excellent program in the Hindu College in Delhi University on this aspect. And we had some really good speakers on practical applications of human interdependence literacy. So today, as I feel, we must underline this whole idea, and I'm working on this area with many other people. In fact, also this friend of mine who is in Toronto, he works with some of the business houses and in the corporate sectors, how we can introduce this whole idea. Because we are talking of energy efficiency, so on and so forth, but if I'm not sensitive to this very, very micro issues, which is part of the Indian approach, say, when Mahatma Gandhi was thinking, if you read the beautiful book by Lord Bhikkhu Parekh, Gandhi, A Short Introduction, he says the Gandhi's idea of non-violence emerges from the cosmocentric approach to human nature. So we are part of the entire cosmos. So if we are not really sensitive to that, we may do a lot of things, but we may not succeed in that way. So that is something which I wanted to underline. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So he raised a very pertinent issue that all life is interrelated, interconnected, paros paro graho jivanam. And if you know how nature and human beings are intertwined and interrelated, interlinked, that's beyond any doubt. And our ancient scriptures, philosophy, to take any religion, you will find in all the religions that human beings are having a deep connection with the nature, and if we destroy nature, it will have a adverse impact on human beings and of course our future posterity as well. And we have to take care of that part. And there is a quotation, I'm not able to recall that quotation, that says that even if we move a single finger in this universe, that has its impact on anyone, anywhere, and we all have similar consciousness. Our consciousness are united. So a lot of researches are going on in the Western world about, as to how our consciousness are connected, and, what happened when tsunami came, and, when there was 9/11, and, a lot of, these type of pandemics, endemics, and epidemics, and these kind of crises happened over mankind, and how we reacted and how people were able to predict it before time because our consciousness is connected, right? So that's how, so it's a very, very, we have to go down deep into our ancient scriptures to understand what is sustainable development. So thank you so much, sir. Now I call upon Mr. Vijay Garg for his speech on sustainable development. He's chairman, SEAC, Department of Environment, NCT Delhi.
Thank you, ma'am. I have already shared my basic thoughts in the morning session, but I'll add few things that we have enough resources, but management of resources are required because it is not like that we are not available with the sufficient resources. The resource is sufficient, but how do we use it in optimum manner? That is where the sustainable development will come in. And equal distribution of resources across the city is another part which is important, because if we look at, even I'll give you an example of water in Delhi. Water in Delhi is sufficiently available as far as we are concerned, because we are able to get water to drink and for our daily use. most of the places in Delhi. Some places in Delhi may not be. But at the same time, it is sufficient because the highest demand which we calculate is per capita. It depends on the maximum usage of a person. But average usage of person is less than half of, like if you talk about Maharaja Hussain Institute of Management Studies here, how many people are coming, we calculate a water demand based on the number of people visiting and using. But actual demand would be actually 30% of this institute. When we calculate total demand, then that demand is inflated demand. But at the same time, resources are made available by the government based on the inflated demand. And there's an artificial shortage being created. So what we need to look at in sustainable development, that the one is average usage. Number two, the recycled usage, which is called sustainable development. We can use reuse water, by which we can at least say 65% of water actually being used. So actual consumption would again be 35%. Similar is the case of energy. Like if we are sitting in this hall and if we switch off the lights behind, or we put sensors, or similarly, the optimum light, earlier we used to use 40-watt tube light. Before that, we used to use 60-watt bulb. Now we're using 10-watt, 5-watt. But lux level, illumination level at our tables, at our places is equal, measurable. So what we need to use the efficient technology. That is another one. The third one is the mitigation measure of the development, which is most important to be considered from the environment point of view. See, every development has a side effects. So it cannot be said the development will not have environmental damages. Every development has environmental damages in terms of environmental pollutions, whether it is air pollution, whether it is sound pollution, water pollution, or heat generation. So heat generation like happens because of the materials being used in the building, reflectivity, and amount of number of trees being cut, heat being not absorbed, all such methods. So our job is basically to see all that development measure, because of the development, negative effect or the damage to the nature does not happen at all. So basic question would be, how can we do it? We can definitely do it because we can similarly, like zero water discharge is a policy which we are able to adhere to in 60% of the buildings in Delhi, large scale development. And we should be able to do it in 100% if people are made conscious of it. So similarly, for energy, if we use solar panels up to the tune of 10 to 15% of the total peak demand, which is feasible in each building, so our electricity bills will be minimum will bring down to half or maybe even less. And similarly, for heat mitigation, if we plant some number of trees and with the quality conscious trees, which can take on the dust element on them, we can regularly wash them with the recycled water, and that water again is percolated in the ground. So there is no wastage of water in that. Recycled water being used, dust being collected by trees and not in the environment. So inhaling of the dust becomes less. So all that is part of sustainable development, and that is where the environmental measures are in place, the policies are in place, only the awareness is there. It doesn't take money to be making a sustainable building or doing a sustainable development. It's required only conscious and life cycle cost analysis and conscious of that how we are going to do it, and we should be aware that we need to do it. If you have determination, once you do it, you will become habitual of it, and that is what is required. And that is what I urge all of you to focus on that, and that will make us self-reliant in terms of environmental. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your brief remarks. And I fully agree with you that we have to focus on, creating more smart buildings which are using solar panels and such smart technologies which can minimize the environmental damage. Although you mentioned that development will have its own after effects, it will, deteriorate the environment, but we have to see what we can do. And he rightly mentioned that awareness is the first step. And I believe that this conference succeeded in creating the awareness among the youths, among the young minds, ignited the passion to go green. And how can you go green? And you will have many more takeaways from this conference, and you will have a lot of insights as to how you can go green. And we can see a lot of organizations are going for CSR, corporate social responsibilities, and the need of the hour is to go green. Green airports. Airport Authority of India has 3-4 airports which they have dubbed as green airports, and they are recycling all the used papers at one place and using that paper in making folders and distributing among their employees. So these are the efforts made by many organizations. So thank you so much, sir. So we now move. All right, so it's good. So we not only focused on sustainable development, we walked our talk. Sustainable development क्या है? Maximum use of minimum resources. हम लोगों ने टाइम का कितना अच्छा यूज किया. I believe it was for 30 minutes, and I thank from the core of my heart all my co-panelists who succeeded in not taking 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, 2 minutes. So otherwise, initially people were saying 3 minute का होता है, बोलते 6 minute है. I heard someone saying like this. So yeah, you have a question? Okay, yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so now the floor is open for my co-panelists and audience. Maybe if you would like to ask some questions to any of our co-panelists, and any one of you would like to share your ideas, any other ideas which emerge in your mind during the course of discussion. So please share it. Since morning they are sitting, sir is very right. So they may not be in that mindset. Graveyard session, post-lunch session, graveyard session. Yeah. Okay, that's true. We are committing violence by making you deliberately and sit in this hall and making you listen to those Haribhakkam concepts and philosophies, because creating awareness is the first step. And once we succeeded in creating awareness, I believe our mission, our purpose, the objective of this conference is truly fulfilled, isn't it? So I would need anyone of you would like to mention it? Or
so how can you contribute as an institution being sitting here? How would the students and the faculty members and the participant here would contribute in making a sustainable development in their community where they are living in around? So one basic tip that if we can give it to them, that how would they be useful for their movement?
Sir, one thing which I feel is very important to know the number, data. At this moment, the real problem in communication about sustainable development is the lack of data, lack of some facts which should be conveyed. So as a student, I would request them to look for the data so that the things could be communicated effectively. Because we all talk about the concept, but very few people know about what exactly is the sustainable development. Very few people know is about it, how this is going to impact our lives. So for those things, if you have some data, if you have some facts, use them, articulate them, and communicate to the people in large way. That will certainly help to create awareness. Because just talking about sustainable development for 30 minutes, and if you are not able to communicate to the society that how this is going to change my life per se or your life per se, like you mentioned about the green building, or like you mentioned about the energy saving building, those buildings, how many buildings we have, or what kind of saving we have, if you are able to communicate to the people that this much saving you are going to have because of this, people will really understand that. I will just give you one example. अभी के बजट में एक अनाउंसमेंट हुआ सोलर रूफटॉप पैनल का. What was the highlight of that communication? हर साल आप 15,000 रुपए बचा सकते हैं. That was the number. So what I feel that if you are using those numbers, if you are using those data in communicating about a very complicated concept that is the sustainable development, people will be able to understand that. And being the students of management, they know the economics, they know the basic fundamentals of using the data. If you're able to do that, I'm sure that they will be a very good communicator of sustainable development.
Let me add a couple of points here. Thank you so very much for emphasizing the importance of data, which is actually something where we as a nation have to work a lot. We have not been very good at data providing, and even understanding the value of data. I just give a value. This LED panel, LED bulb, and all. What did it do to our nation? Do you understand that? I just give a narrative. Conventional 60-watt, 100-watt bulbs, which you might have seen in your childhoods, that has been simply replaced by 9-watt, 10-watt, 12-watt, or 6-watt bulbs. See the quantum of electricity, what you're going to save just by this small initiative is 90%. And what impact does it make on your bills? It is half in no time. So as an institution, sir, first, I think the foremost responsibility, what we as institution, be it educational or private or government, we have to walk the talk. Probably we are actually blessed. I say blessed because we at least have the primary level information about what government is doing, right? And actually, it is our responsibility to be the role model for the society because 90% of the people may not be aware about the things what are being done by the government or even have the understanding or ability to understand the nitty-gritties of the schemes, what is being planned by government at times. So as an institution, we need to walk the talk. We need to actually propagate this awareness thing. I have been interacting with a lot of students, believe me or not, and I find that the level of awareness within the community is not even up to 10% what it should be. So we as an organization, we as a students have got a role to play. And again, मैं तो पैसे की बात करूंगा. So बहुत पैसा बना सकते हो आप. This awareness creation itself is $1 billion industry in India, I'm telling you. And the people who are actually minting money out of this is people like us and you. It's all about how do you connect to the people. आप रील्स सारे बनाते हो ना, दिल्ली में अगर आप एक अपना रील बनाने का सिस्टम चालू करो सिर्फ एनर्जी इफिशिएंसी इन्वायरमेंट और सस्टेनेबिलिटी का, you will find you will have millions of followers. All you have to do is to be innovative in your approach. And by this, you will find that money is a byproduct, and the kind of passion you will derive or the love what you will get from the society by doing such initiatives would be the actual satisfactory initiative for you and incentive for you. As an institution, we can have so many multiplier effects in the societies. I just give you an example, another one. We are all talking about electric vehicle, nowadays. How many of us are actually running that? I think not even 5%. Believe me or not, just by changing your normal vehicle to electric vehicle, the two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or even e-cycle, you can contribute to the sustainability to a greater extent. And on top of that, you'll be saving just, sir said about 15,000. You'll save much more than 15,000 rupees a year by just doing this small initiative. And it will save you money, it will save you time, it will bring more efficiency in the system, and you would be actually the champion for sustainability in the society. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. So you talked about the importance of awareness, As an institution, Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Committee, we have been organizing a lot of programs with the students, right from schools to colleges. And this is one of the area because Mahatma Gandhi is linked to the whole notion of sustainable systems and sustainable lifestyle. We can have some collaborative action research because Gandhi was a man of action. So we need to have action research at the community level so that students can imbibe not only these ideas, but actually experiment and also translate those knowledge that they have gained to the community. That will be the real, that is a real challenge and that will be a greatest contribution, I think. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to add something which Shishir sir and Abhishek has said that we need data. It's very simple. If we compare Delhi, most of the projects, most of you must have visited AeroCity. AeroCity is one of the good examples in terms of energy efficient management. In AeroCity, the hotels are using, if you take baseline data, 100 kilowatt to be used by a hotel, they are running on 30 kilowatt because of that energy management and sustainable energy measures. In water, they are using only 15 to 20%. If you look at the total demand of the AeroCity and the kind of available water with Delhi Airport, it's only 15 to 20%. Still, they are able to run it very well. You must go and visit and see the data, site study. Only then you will realize how much it can make a difference. If I take an example of solar rooftop, if everybody uses only 5 kilowatt, which requires only 25 to 30 square meter of roof surface, it requires only 2 lakh rupees of initial investment on an average cost. It will save you 400 units per month generation. It repay back only 2 years time. And similarly, if water recharge or making a lake, just give you an example of Dwarka subsidy. There is a lake made by Delhi government 2 years back. In 2 years, 5.5 to 6 meter of water level rise in Dwarka. That is not my data. This is Central Groundwater Authority data. So this can make difference to the city, and it is making. But only the awareness is required, and if we all make an effort around, even if we make a small pond in our society, our neighborhood, our institution, that will serve similar purpose in terms of quantum and numbers. So that is why I said we need to look back and see what can we contribute rather than what the government has contributed. Because if we contribute, the government doesn't need to contribute. Government only need to manage. Thank you.
That's very adding to what our co-panelists mentioned. What we can do, that is more important. So I share a small anecdote with you. John Keats was walking in London on Sunday near the seashore, and that day there was a high tide, and there were thousands of fish lying there. And he saw there was a young boy. What he was doing, he was taking the fish back and throwing it into the water. So this gentleman, John Keats, he asked this young child, son, what are you doing? He said, I'm throwing fish back into the water. So then John Keats asked, what difference would it make? So what that young child did, he took one fish, threw it back into the water and said, it would make a difference to this one and to me. So that's more important. What I am contributing. हमने सोचे हमें क्या मिला है, हम ये सोचे क्या है अर्पण. तो हमने क्या कंट्रीब्यूट किया है, दैट्स मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. जैसा कि सर ने इशू उठाया कि बड़ी बड़ी बातें तो कर लेंगे, लेकिन हम अपने ही एरिया में क्या कर सकते हैं. डेटा पॉइंट जनरेट करके अवेयरनेस ला सकते हैं, या छोटे छोटे, सर ने बोला पार्क में, या वी कैन प्लांट सैपलिंग्स एंड जो भी लाइट्स है वी कैन स्विच ऑफ द लाइट, उसे और उसको इग्नोर करके बाहर निकल गए. सो दैट वी कैन डू, दैट वुड बी आवर एफर्ट कि हम उसे तो उसको लाइट्स को ऑफ करके ही निकले, उसको इग्नोर नहीं किया. ये हम कर सकते हैं, तभी हमारा जो भविष्य है वो सुरक्षित रहेगा. अन्यथा तो आपने देखा मॉर्निंग सेशन में वो स्लाइड में लिखा हुआ था 2 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड टेम्परेचर राइजिंग एंड मेनी कंट्रीज आर वैनिशिंग, रादर वुड वैनिश from the world map in the times to come, in the decades to come. So if we really want to survive, data point है, जिंदा रहना है तो कुछ करना होगा, तो ये आपको करना है. और time has come. टाइम हैज कम, दिस इज द टाइम. लहरों को खामोश देखकर ये ना समझना कि समुंदर में रवानी नहीं है. हम जब भी उठेंगे तूफान बनकर उठेंगे, बस उठने की अभी ठानी नहीं है, ठानी नहीं है. तो उठ जाइए, समय आ गया है. अब ऐसा नहीं चलेगा कि नहीं, उठने की ठानी नहीं है. So we have to get it now, we have to be aware and we have to get going. So now we have some questions from the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon to the panelists. So, sir, it's an open question, like whosoever wants to answer. So, the challenge between a country like India is that on one side we have to fight for climate equity and climate social environment justice, like concerns raised by our PM in COP26, COP27. And other side we are leading with environment sustainability, such as International Solar Alliance. So, how can we maintain balance between these two approaches as a India as a whole? Because the major concern raised by our prime minister is that when Western world has fulfilled its energy needs through coal, but India is now on the path of from developing to develop, and now all these restrictions are coming from the Western world. So how can we balance this approach? Thank you, sir.
So, भाई ये एक ही तरफ है, सब दोनों तरफ नहीं है. पहले तो ये समझ लेना, who is sharing ISA? India. And why are we doing this? Because we always believed in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. अपना फंडा ही क्लियर है, पूरे विश्व का भला करेंगे, उसमें अपना तो अपने आप हो जाएगा. What we are talking about in international forums is our strategic position vis-a-vis what is being done or what have been done by the developed nations, so-called elite nations, US and Europe and all, versus what is required at this stage by countries like India and many more developing, including African continent. So the point there is all about that you provide us the technologies which you think are the right technologies for making the development sustainable, and we will not buy it. Rather, it is actually your duty to give us those specific technologies so that we can develop in that fashion. The trade-off is not about making sustainable development or not making it so sustainable. It's all about showing the responsibility what Western world has towards developing the other so-called global south. We call it global south. It is strategy. But we as a nation, believe me or not, आप जब बच्चे रहे होंगे और अभी आप 22-23 साल या जितने की भी होंगे, सॉरी, आपने खुद देखा होगा आपका टेम्परेचर बढ़ रहा है, अपने दिल्ली का टेम्परेचर बढ़ रहा है. भाई दुनिया की बात बाद में कर लेंगे, पहले अपना देख लें कि who is actually getting impacted? People like us, all of us, right? So actually it is in our favor to walk the talk. It is in our favor to work towards sustainability, right? Global position अलग है, हमारी actual people, we are talking about, nations getting submerged. Millions of people of India, where Indians are living, will be submerged if we are not able to, arrest that 2-degree temperature rise. It is not about other part of the world. It is our world. So let them do their job. Let us do our job. And our job is to be more responsible and doing the initiatives which are more sustainable in nature. Thank you.
नमस्कार. पता नहीं मेरा सवाल सब थोड़ा बड़ा हो सकता है, लेकिन ऐसी जिज्ञासा है बैठे बैठे मन में आई, आप लोगों को सुनते हो तो मैं साझा कर रहा हूँ.
जिज्ञासा को अंदर नहीं रखना चाहिए.
जी हाँ, इसलिए सवाल सभी से है. सुबह से हम सुन रहे हैं, पहले वेल्थ क्रिएशन की बात आई, फिर दूसरे पैनलिस्ट आए, उन्होंने कहा ऑन व्हाट कॉस्ट. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग. गांधी जी कहते हैं कि पंक्ति में जो अंतिम व्यक्ति है, जब उसको डेवलपमेंट का लाभ मिल रहा है तब डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, ऐसा मानना चाहिए. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट मतलब टिके रुके, उसके पास जेब में वो रुकना चाहिए, दिखना चाहिए, उसके तन पर मन पर दिखना चाहिए, तब सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट है। लेकिन सर दूसरी तरफ ना एक विरोधाभास भी है, उसका खाना पीना, उसकी लाइफस्टाइल, वो जब बीमार पड़ता है तो उसके खर्चे, वो सस्टेनेबल में नहीं आ रहा सर। हमारी जो पूरी मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री है वो कहीं ना कहीं उसको तोड़ देती है बाद में। उसका जो डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है ना धीरे धीरे, वो एक स्टेज पर ऐसी जगह पर आ जाता है जब वो सब निचोड़ देता है बाहर, रुक नहीं रहा। हम ग्रीन एनर्जी की बात कर रहे हैं, हम बल्ब की बात कर रहे हैं, रिप्लेसमेंट आ गया, 100 वाट की जगह 6 वाट का आ गया, वो सब ठीक है। लेकिन और भी चीजें हैं जिनको देखना है सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। यहाँ पर बिजनेस, एजुकेशन, कम्युनिकेशन तो लिखा है, लेकिन ये चीजें नहीं लिखी, लेकिन ये मेंशन होनी चाहिए सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, जो एसडीजीज के 17 में तो आती है। ये कैसे टूटेगा सर? सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट तब होगा।
देखिए, आपने दो शब्दों का इस्तेमाल किया, एक तो अंत्योदय का और एक तो आपने समावेशी विकास का। और हम लोग जब बात करते हैं अंत्योदय की और समावेशी विकास की, हमारी परेशानी वही पे होती थी कि हमारे पास जो विकास की परिभाषा है ना, वो बहुत ही सीमित हो जाती। हम लोग मानव श्रम, मानव संसाधन, मानव विकास पे जाते हैं, लेकिन इन तीनों के निरंतरता बनी रहे उसके लिए जरूरत है बेहतर स्वास्थ्य और बेहतर शिक्षा। ये दोनों कहाँ है उसमें? ये एक समस्या है, ये एक परेशानी है। और मुझे लगता है कि हमारे लिए, हम लोग जब 17 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल की बात करते हैं, जो कि संयुक्त राष्ट्र का चार्टर है, जो कि हमें 2030 तक पूरा करना है, उसमें अचानक एक चर्चा आई अभी, आपने शायद देखा भी होगा। एक क्लॉक है जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं वर्ल्ड पॉवर्टी क्लॉक। और वर्ल्ड पॉवर्टी क्लॉक ने अचानक पिछले सप्ताह कहा कि हमारे देश में अत्यंत गरीबी में रहने वाले लोगों की आबादी 2% से कम हो गई है। सुन करके तो बड़ी खुशी हुई कि हमारे देश में गरीबी बहुत कम हो गई है। लेकिन उसी के साथ साथ एक रिपोर्ट ये भी आई कि प्रति व्यक्ति अस्पताल का खर्च कितना बढ़ गया है, प्रति व्यक्ति शिक्षा का खर्च कितना बढ़ गया है। क्या हम गरीबी का मापन, आकलन सिर्फ इस आधार पर कर रहे हैं कि वो $2.15 की कमाई कर रहा है कि नहीं, या हम इस आकलन पर कर रहे हैं कि क्या हम उसे पर्याप्त स्वास्थ्य और शिक्षा दे पा रहे हैं कि नहीं? मुझे लगता है कि जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट यानी कि सतत विकास की परिभाषा में शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के जो भार होना चाहिए वो काफी कम है। और ये एक इसका बहुत बड़ा दोष है, इसको हमें सुधारने की जरूरत है। हम लोग पूरे दिन चर्चा करेंगे सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट यानी कि हरित विकास। भाई साहब, हरित विकास तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का एक छोटा सा हिस्सा है। शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य पे हम क्यों नहीं चर्चा करते हैं? हम क्यों नहीं चर्चा करते कि मानव विकास सूचकांक में, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स में हमारा पोजीशन बेहतर हो, ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स में हम सबसे नीचे हो ना कि ऊपर हो। ये यदि अगर हम बातें कर सके तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की का जो औचित्य है वो बनता है। नहीं तो ये विकास जो है ना, ये अर्थशास्त्र की परिभाषा में रह जाएगा। और अर्थशास्त्र का एक सबसे बड़ा दोष जानते हैं क्या है? वो ये कहता है इफ अदर थिंग रिमेन्स द सेम। ये जो अदर थिंग रिमेन्स द सेम है ना, क्या हर व्यक्ति हमेशा स्वस्थ रहेगा? क्या उसे कोई बीमारी नहीं होगी? ये ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता है। इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि हमारे लिए सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की परिभाषा बदलने की जरूरत है। हम संपत्ति का सृजन, हरित विकास और हम पर्यावरण को बचा करके केवल विकास नहीं कर सकते हैं। शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य को ज्यादा भार दे, तब जाकर के फायदा हो सकता है, अन्यथा ये पूरी परिभाषा, ये पूरी चर्चा बेमानी है।
बिल्कुल सही कहा सर। स्वास्थ्य और हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग का भी एक गोल है, लेकिन उसके ऊपर हम चर्चा ही नहीं करते। हालांकि कुछ एक विषय है जिसके ऊपर बहुत चर्चा होती है, जैसे जेंडर इक्वालिटी। जो 5th UNDP गोल है, उसके ऊपर जब इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स डे होता है उस दिन तो बहुत चर्चा होती है। हर संस्थान में चर्चा की जाती है, तो ग्लैमराइज करके किया जाता है। लेकिन जो रिपोर्ट निकलती है, यूनाइटेड नेशंस सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट रिपोर्ट, so if we see that report, so situation is not very rosy. It's a picture is very grim. So we need to look for the facts, data points, and where we are heading. That's more important. So we have to focus on preventive healthcare rather than curative part. And these hospitals are curing the ailments, not preventing us to fall sick. That's more important. So you had the right question in mind, and you will have to search answers on your own. It's a long journey. Instantly, like instant noodles, you won't get the answers. You will have to do the soul searching for that. हाँ, काम हो रहा है, स्लो हो रहा है, काम हो रहा है तो काम आपको आगे ले जाना है और करना है. Yes, any more questions?
हाँ जी, गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल द पैनलिस्ट. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक. गवर्नमेंट ने बैन किया अभी, स्टिल बैन करने के बाद द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन आर नॉट बीइंग देयर. Now, what is the concern behind? People do not want to use single-use plastic. It is causing concern to the climate. Everybody is aware. But वो फिर भी objective हमारा नहीं हुआ है because of certain implementation. Other things are also being there. Industry भी है, industry बना रही है, लोग यूज भी कर रहे हैं, बट उसको कैसे मैनेज करेंगे, कैसे देखते हैं?
देखिए, मेरे हिसाब से सबसे जो जरूरी चीज है कि लोगों के अंदर जागरूकता. आज देखिए, हम लोग कहते हैं ना, सुबह कपड़े की थैली लेकर के आप जाओ बाजार से सब्जी खरीदने के लिए. आपने कितने लोगों के हाथ में वो कपड़े की थैली देखी हो? नहीं देखते, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि दुकानदार के पास जाएंगे, वो एक प्लास्टिक की थैली तो उनको पकड़ा ही देगा. चाहे रेहड़ी वाला हो, चाहे वो सफल का हो. सफल वाला भी एक नई चालाकी आ गई. वो कहते हैं आप 1 रुपया दे दो, हम आपको थैली दे देंगे. तो कौन वो इनकन्वीनियंस घर से लेकर के चले? मुझे लगता है कि देखिए, सरकार के ऊपर जो भी आप आलोचना करें, सबसे जरूरी बात होती है अर्थशास्त्र जहां से शुरू होता है, माइक्रो से. हमारे अंदर वो जागरूकता है कि नहीं है. सिंगल यूज हो, ये न्यूट्रॉन का हो, पता नहीं उसमें कई तरह की परिभाषाएं आती है कि आप इतने कम का आप प्लास्टिक लेकर के चले. मुझे लगता है कि माइक्रोन, सॉरी, हाँ, माइक्रोन जो है 10 माइक्रोन से नीचे का है. मुझे लगता है कि इसका जवाब बहुत ही सरल मेरे हिसाब से जो हो सकता है कि हम अपने अंदर वो जागरूकता पैदा करें कि मुझे ये इस्तेमाल नहीं करना है. सरकार के जुर्माने का इंतजार क्यों करें? सड़क पे जब आप चल रहे हैं, बाई की तरफ की जगह पे आप दाई तरफ चलेंगे, तो दुर्घटना को न्योता तो आप ही दे रहे हैं ना. तो वहां पे तो जागरूकता अपने अंदर पे चाहिए. सरकार जितनी जितनी भी परिभाषा तय कर ले, इसका निदान नहीं हो सकता है. हम जागरूक होंगे, समाज आगे बढ़ेगा. अर्थशास्त्र माइक्रो से मैक्रो पे जाता है, यही चीज यहाँ पर भी होती है.
Glass bottles instead of these plastic bottles would make a difference. Finally, and many places, yeah, we see in ministries they have stopped using plastic bottles. First session में थी, हाँ, plastic, yeah. Yeah. कोशिश को जारी रखिएगा. That's more important. So yes. Audience, any questions?
Good evening, panelists. I have a very simple question. The sir was saying that the e-mobility was a basic question on the e-mobility, but the cost of car is too high. Sometimes it's double the cost. So I think whatever kind of subsidy you are providing, 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees, do you think it is enough? And if the car replacement, battery replacement cost is 7 lakh or 8 lakh, how we will maintain all these things, or how the concept or a vision of e-mobility will be successful? Thank you, sir.
टू व्हीलर फोर व्हीलर चलेगा फॉर एग्जाम्पल. टाटा नेक्सॉन का अभी प्राइस चेक करिए सर, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल और नॉर्मल व्हीकल, you'll find it actually at par. टू व्हीलर टाटा वो एक्टिवा का प्राइस चेक करिए सर, 1.25 लाख. कोई भी टू व्हीलर इलेक्ट्रिक लेंगे आप, 1 लाख के अंदर मिलेगा सर. ये एक्चुअल डेटा आज का बता रहा हूं. बट हम इसका इंतजार करें क्यों? इंपॉर्टेंट ये है, अगर हम being the upper strata of society can't think of something of investing maybe 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees extra, and in turn it is giving us so much of added advantage, which I just tried to enumerate before. Let's do it. It is not only good for us, it is actually our responsibility and obligation towards the society. I see it personally from that perspective. Governments will do their own bit. Governments will try to incentivize, try to put more infrastructure and everything. But again, I'll say we are the people who can make the change. अभी प्लास्टिक की कोई बात कर रहा था. Why can't we as an institution make it a drive that 5 किलोमीटर के रेडियस में यहाँ पे प्लास्टिक नहीं चलेगा साहब? Can we as students not do this? भाई जो आप बॉटम ऑफ पिरामिड की बात कर रहे हो ना, ये चेंज हमें ही लाना होगा. हम बात कर रहे हैं कि दूसरा कोई करे, भाई ये आज हमारी जरूरत है, हमें करना होगा, क्योंकि हमारे पूर्वजों ने जो काम कर लिया, उनको जितना करना, इट इज नाउ आवर टाइम to do and do the way which has not been done earlier maybe. Incentive has never been a way to propagate a technology in masses. It is the early drivers which help a technology or even a concept to promote. Governments act as catalyst to do something, but the actual innovation comes from the people. अपना यूपीआई पूरे विश्व में पॉपुलर हो गया. Who innovated in UPI? Did government do this? No. Some private guy who just thought other way, which was not very conventional, and now it is a nation. It is something which India takes pride of. It is we have to do this. Electric vehicle. आपने जो बैटरी का कॉस्ट का बात बोला सर, जस्ट 2 साल में देखेंगे ये जो 7 लाख आप बता रहे हैं वो 2 लाख पहुंच जाएगा पहले तो. Why? Because people amongst us are doing some R&D to reduce that. We as an industry understand that, government understands that, we as a society also understands this problem. People are working round the clock, because the people who are working in EV, they're not sitting idle. They are actually knowing that if they're able to make you convinced that it is actually much less costlier than owning a typical IC-based engine-based vehicle, the adoption will happen automatically. ये जो 7 से 2 लाख 20 बहुत ढेर सारे डिस्कशन हो रहा है इंडस्ट्री में, गवर्नमेंट में, कैसे इसको कम करें. अभी जो बैटरीज आ रही हैं, दे आर नॉट इन्वायरमेंटली वेरी फ्रेंडली, बहुत ढेर सारे वीडियोस वगैरह भी चलते रहते हैं. बट पीपल आर एक्टिंग टू वर्क टुवर्ड्स मेकिंग इट मच मोर चीपर, much more efficient, and much more available also to the last mile. It is happening, and believe me or not, if we don't do it, it will still happen. All we have to do is to be part of this journey, and we all will get benefited as an individual and as well as society. Thank you.
We have to think what we can do, and Niti Aayog is responsible for bringing out policies. They have divisions which are doing R&D in creating this e-vehicle more user friendly, and how to lessen the cost of batteries, which is very expensive nowadays. So a lot of efforts are being made, and similarly our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji started Mission Karmyogi iGot platform, and that is making training online rather than having a physical training. And if you go by the statistics, if you calculate the ROI, then it leaves a lot of footprints which are dangerous for our environment, cost of commuting, cost of photocopying papers, and not many lights are on during training sessions and training halls. And this iGot platform has reduced the environmental damage to a large extent by creating hundreds and lakhs and hours of learning online. There are around 27 or 29 lakhs government officials registered on this platform, undergoing trainings day in and day out. Just-in-time learning is happening, and they are undergoing training on any topic under the sun on this platform. So that's how a lot of policy initiatives are being taken at the level of center, state, and at the level of government. Our PM himself is very well aware about these dangers, and so he's taking a lot of steps to mitigate the effect of environmental damage. So, any more questions or can we close? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Because we are.
Can I make a point? Last point, please.
Okay.
वाइब्स काम करती है ना और हमें रह करके आंसर मिल जाते हैं। आपने कहा था इसका आंसर ढूंढना पड़ेगा, मैंने सवाल पूछा था और आंसर सर मिला मुझे। सेंसिटिविटी उसका आंसर है, सेंसिटिविटी उसका आंसर है, क्योंकि अभी आप बात कर रहे थे हम लोग जब तक सेंसिटिव नहीं होंगे तब तक उन लोगों के लिए काम भी नहीं करेंगे। एक बात सर ने अभी कही, अभिषेक सर ने, कि जब हम इस लेवल पर होकर के नए के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, हम खुद ई व्हीकल नहीं खरीदेंगे, महंगा है तो क्या होगा, ऊपर वाले लेवल पर सेंसिटिविटी आनी चाहिए, तब तो नीचे वाले लोग समझेंगे। सर एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल आपने यूपीआई के लिए दिया, जब यूपीआई के लिए काम चल रहा था, भीम यूपीआई के लिए, और उसको जो कंसर्न मिनिस्ट्री देख रही थी, जिसकी देख रेख में वो बनाया किसी इंडिविजुअल ने, लेकिन सरकार जब उसकी देख रही थी कैसा बन रहा है, उस समय मैं पीएचडी कर रहा था और मेरा टॉपिक था मीडिया लिटरेसी अमॉन्ग विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड। जो दृष्टिबाधित लोग हैं वो मीडिया लिटरेट कैसे हो सकते हैं, कि इसके लिए मैंने कोर्स वर्क डेवलप किया। उस समय मैंने वही मिनिस्ट्री से जाकर के ये पता किया था कि भीम यूपीआई जो बना रहे हैं आप, वो विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड के लिए कैसे यूजफुल हो सकता है। तो सर आंसर ये आया था जो बड़ा इनसेंसिटिव था, कि पहले आंख वालों के लिए तो बन जाए। सर ये सीधा सीधा आंसर था उनका। आपने ठीक कहा सर, सेंसिटिविटी ऊपर से आनी चाहिए तब नीचे उतरती है, और बाद में भीम यूपीआई जब अब विजुअल इम्पेयर्ड लोग यूज करना शुरू किया है, जब वो पेमेंट करते हैं तो वो बोलता है, ये सेंसिटिविटी बाद में आएगी। सर ये मुझे आंसर मिला, इसलिए मैंने सोचा मैं पॉइंट रखूं। थैंक यू सर।
All right. Thank you so much. So, I would like to thank all the co-panelists who have taken time out from their busy schedule and thrown light on some of the pertinent aspects, issues, and raised some of the pointers for all of you to think about. And I would like to close with two lines of Mirza Ghalib. He said, "इंसान घर बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, फिर भी वो खुद को क्यों नहीं बदलता। उम्र भर गालिब यही भूल करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी और आईना साफ करता रहा, आईना साफ करता रहा." So I'm sure this panel discussion shed some of your myths with regard to sustainable development, and it has been a very enriching, enthusing, and insightful discussion. So thank you one and all. Thank you, Mains, for giving us this opportunity to be a part of this panel discussion and to be a part of this conference. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, everyone. Rightly said, changing the face can change nothing, but facing the change can change anything. We have to be the change. As we embark on this journey of intellectual exchange and scholarly disclosure, I would like to thank all our panelists, and I would like to call upon the conference team to come up on the stage for a group photograph. I invite all the heads, conveners, co-conveners, and the organizing team to come up on the stage for the group photograph. I request all the faculty members to come on the dais for a group photograph. All the faculty members, please come on the stage.
कुछ इधर आ जाओ, कुछ इधर इधर आ जाओ, कुछ लोग इधर आ जाओ।